I'm going to jump into it with a controversial take: warm up less.
You have to train for objective, not for vibes.
Don't overlook walking, it's immensely powerful. 9 high level tips, things I wish I knew before I started lifting. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
His co-host and co-coach KG, and I'm in the house.
And today, me and Kyle sat down. We wrote down 9 advanced workout tips we wish we knew before we started lifting. And even if you've been lifting for a while, these are going to be great refreshers. And I think you're going to learn something new today. So I'm really excited to jump into this episode. And I'm going to jump into it with a controversial take. And that is to actually warm up less. Your warm up is meant to get you warm and safe for the movement. It is not meant to fatigue you. It is not meant to take half your workout. It is not meant for you to stretch every muscle in your body. The goal of working out also is to work out in full range of motions and healthy patterns so that on the days where you're more crunched and you have less time to warm up, you'll be in a better situation. There will be opportunities, or there will be situations more so where maybe you'll have to lift something for someone or move something out of the way. If there's a car on top of a mother and her baby, you're not going to go, hey, let me just foam roll for 30 minutes. Absolutely not. So you want to be in a position, I know that's extreme, but where you have a healthy functioning body to where you can jump into things. And I'm not saying, hey, hoorah, be a bro, don't warm up. Warming up is dumb. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. It's just be efficient and effective with it. So for myself, for reference, I'm relatively healthy. I have no major past issues. I had a dislocated shoulder this time last year. And with that, I had to spend a lot more time warming up my shoulder. It was my unfortunate reality. I would take about probably 20 to 30 minutes of my workout warming up because I couldn't really lift my arms. So I couldn't do much of a workout. So I would warm that up. And I would do that when I would do my upper body days. And my movements were incredibly light, but that was very specific to a situation. If I was doing legs, even with the shoulder, I'd make sure it's functioning and safe and I got some blood flow, but I would maybe only do like 5 minutes because my shoulders were less involved. Just the same now, my shoulder feels 99%. The rest of my body feels good. I'll do a general warm up. I'll usually do like 5 minutes of just activity, whether it's walking to the gym, walking in the gym, being on a treadmill. I'll do something like that. Past that, I'll warm up for my specific movements. So if I'm doing legs, I'll kick around my legs. I'll get all loose. I'll warm up my hips. I'll spend only a couple minutes doing that. From there, I'll actually do bites into each and every set I do. So for my squats, I'll start with the bar, then I'll do a plate, then I'll do 2 plates, and I'm actively warming up for that movement. Too many people make the mistake of just doing excessively long warm-ups for the sake of it, doing a ton of stretches, doing a ton of foam rolls, and they'll fatigue themselves, especially mentally, because if you're in the gym 30 minutes, and then you're expected to lift an hour and a half, you're going to resent the gym. Like, that is just excessively long. It doesn't need to be like that. So you want to do just enough to get you loose, limber, and secure, but also just enough to not take too much time. And I find one of the best improvements you can do is warm up site-specific muscles. So once my legs are warm, if my workout is legs and shoulders and I go to do a shoulder press, I'm not just going to jump into my working weight because I'm warmed up. I haven't done any shoulder work yet. Maybe I'll do some band work first. From there, I'll do those little bites into it. But then if I go back to a leg press, I'm more comfortable just jumping into the weight I need to use. If you feel like you need a little more time warming up, you have an injury or older, you can do more bites. But I really challenge you to find that appropriate threshold for yourself and to instead spend more time working your muscles through full range of motion with great form, with great security. And that is my tip number 1.
Yeah, and adding on one small thing is just remember that the time that you work out can also dictate this, right? So if you're someone, and we have clients like this, they literally roll out of bed, they're in their basement gym and they're right to it. And that's where someone like who's coming from a deeper sleep, who hasn't really moved much, you might need a little bit of extra. But even myself, I work out at about 9:30 every day. I've carried my daughter a ton. I've gone on my walk. I've lifted things. I've done so much. So I find that when I get to that workout, I'm in a pretty good spot. Of course, little things that Josh mentioned, some mobility things, but even people who work out at 6 p.m., like when you think about it, you've done 8,000 steps maybe, you've lifted a bunch of things. Like, it's going to be very different for the 6 p.m. person versus the 6 a.m. person. But I will say, like, I used to be that person who felt like I needed to do 30 or so minutes, and it's just a wasted time. I'd feel so demotivated when it came to getting my squats, deadlifts, and bench press in. But another thing that I really wish I knew earlier was just simply training to about 1 to 2 RIR, which stands for reps in reserve. Now, I used to be a person who would sometimes train till failure, but there have been a lot of times in my journey where I would leave so many reps left in the tank. And even to this day, I will sometimes get distracted and Josh will say, "Oh, that was a good warm up, right?" And I'm like, so that's so true. I'm like, I didn't even think about it. I didn't keep track of the weight I was using. I could have probably done 7 reps left. Okay, that's going to be my warm up set. Now I'm going to take it seriously. And I'd say most people in the gym are a little bit afraid of pushing themselves. They're afraid of challenging themselves and they leave anywhere between 5 to 12 reps left in the tank. And that's just simply not going to help you progress. It's not going to help you gain muscle. It's not going to help you gain new stimulus. And realistically, at that point, you're kind of going through the motions. I hate to say it. So I just wish that every single person knew that they should be ending each set maybe with a bit of a shake, a little bit of uncomfort, and the point where if I were standing there, I said, "Hey, I need you to do one more," you could do one more, maybe two more. But if I said, "I need you to do 3 to 4 reps left," you shouldn't be able to do that. And that is going to be the biggest difference maker to get long term success within your fitness journey.
Yeah, you can accelerate your results in the gym so much so by actually pushing yourself. When you leave a ton, you're not going to see progress. You're going to build less strength, build more muscle. So make sure you know this one and even call yourself on it now. Good way to find out if you're actually at that 1 to 2 is go to failure. So if you do your 8 reps, say, okay, I'm going to test it out this set, and don't do this every set of your workout because that'd be silly. But here and there, it's a good checking mechanism. And say, can I do 10? And if you can just barely do 10, you're like, okay, I'm good. That's a 2 RR. Like that's fine, right? Because you were doing 8 before. But if you do it and then you end up doing 18 reps, you're leaving so much in the tank. So fix that immediately, up that weight, and start to experiment. The next thing I wish I knew that's an advanced tip that I think is important to remember is that progress will get interrupted. And if you listen to the Monday episode, you will have heard my quote that one of my clients shared with me that your 100% today is different from your 100% tomorrow. Life happens, you have kids, you get sick, injury happens, vacations happen, crazy work seasons happen. So I think it's important when you start, it's so easy to say, like, this is amazing. I love this. I can spend 3 hours in the gym. It's so fun. I go with all my friends and it's all so easy. It will get harder and there will be other situations that'll be tough, but it's really important you don't quit in these times. You don't throw everything aside. You keep saying, what can I do in this situation? What can I do in this circumstance? What is my 100% for today? So if you just had a newborn baby and all you can do is like go out for a walk with that baby and you can't go to the gym yet, you can still eat really good. You can still have meal prep services brought in. You can still buy the best foods. You can still say no to all that junk food that's coming in the house. So just understand it gets interrupted, but also understand that you can always be in control, even when it feels like you're not, even when life is chaotic, when it's hard. Understand that getting sick is part of the process. We're human. We get injured, we heal. That's part of the process. So just continue to be adaptable and understand that and empathize with that because I think when things go away from the clear and easy, it's very easy to throw it all aside or feel like it's hopeless and give up. But this is the time where you want to lock in more than ever.
And next up, you're going to want to invest in great gym gear. And when I say this, I don't mean a new set of workout clothes. I feel like everyone is just so quick to just jump into buying a million different sets, but not investing in the things that actually can help them out in the gym. So, a couple different examples and things that I swear by. My red resistance band, I love using, and we were talking about it for warming up and mobility. I just think it's great. And we have a lot of different resources on shoulder mobility movements, but I love that band and I got it off Amazon like 10, 12 bucks, something like that. Even knee sleeves are so great at keeping the joints warm. So every day I'm hitting squat, or not every day I'm hitting squats, but whenever I hit squats, I use those. A workout belt honestly has been in my regimen for 12 years. Like it has been so fantastic and I swear by it for deadlifts and squats, especially just heavy compounds. And then even like squat shoes. And once again, everyone will be different based off of what they need and their goals. But these are the things that I've used for years, and I know Josh will agree as well. But for squat shoes, I did not have mine for quite a while, and then I just didn't end up getting new ones. And I find that they are so helpful at just keeping me upright, helping me keep my heels in a proper position, and I just feel so much better with it. So like once I said, you know what, I'm just going to invest and get a new pair, I felt like it really, really helped me out. Lacrosse balls are great at just working through muscles that are just super achy and just super sore, really tight areas. And yeah, these are things that I use and I highly recommend for a lot of people as well.
Yeah, it's real easy to put off that investment, but even when you're squatting, like if you're squatting in Crocs or something, it's very hard to have the ankle stability. You could have a perfect functioning squat, but you're not gonna have the ankle stability. When you actually buy squat shoes, they elevate your heel, so it's just like standing on a plate. It's a more natural position for you to do a high bar squat, especially. So you make that investment once. Every time you squat, you know your ankle has the best stability. You have that elevation. You're gonna be safer. You're gonna be consistently training in the same shoes. Whereas normally, if you're just wearing whatever the heck's on, it's going to mess with your squat. It's going to mess with your biomechanics, and you could leave yourself more susceptible to injury. And most importantly, you can leave a lot of gains on the table. So make that investment once, and you can keep these things long term. Same with a belt, same with the knee sleeve. It's just nice to have. And once you have it too, you're all saying to yourself, you take yourself serious in the gym. You're making this a priority. So that is a big one. My next big tip is deload weeks. So you have to earn deload weeks. If you're someone who's like in and out of the gym and you're not super consistent, you're not training super hard, this may not be as relevant for you. But now that you know you need to be training to an RIR 1 or 2, you're on a great routine, you're pushing yourself, all these great things. Deload weeks are a phenomenal tool for you to rest and reset. And what I like to do for a deload week, quite simply, is I'll do 2 sets instead of 3, or I'll do one less set than normally programmed. So if I'm doing 4 sets, I'll do 3. And then usually I'll do about 60% of the weight I typically do. So if I was doing 100 pounds for a movement, let's say a machine, I would do 60 pounds. If I was doing 50-pound dumbbells in this case, I would therefore do 30-pound dumbbells. And what's nice about this is allowing you to rest, recover. You're not working to that same stimulus or exertion. So you're actually giving your central nervous system a break. You're giving yourself a chance to recover, spending a little less time in the gym, and lifting so light is going to make you miss lifting heavy. It's going to make you want to get back in there and crush it. And it's a great way also to really reiterate working on some great form, to have some refreshers there, to work on contractions. And it's a great little reset. So I like to program these every 8 to 12 weeks. If you're really advanced in powerlifting, you could do them more often towards 4 weeks. But I think for most people, every 3 months or so is fine. You can also work these into unload weeks. If you have a big travel week or you're actually on a trip, you could start to look at that as well. And this is a great alternative just going out full turkey from the gym, because sometimes it can be really hard to rebuild that rhythm, to rebuild that routine. You can create a lot of additional soreness. But as you become more advanced, these are a phenomenal tool. And if you want even more advanced tips, we actually have a whole document with 7 high level tips separate from these. I guess deload weeks is in there. So 6 other tips. And you can get that just by DMing me training hacks on Instagram to @ColosssusFit, COLOSSUSFIT. And I cover these deload weeks in more detail in that document that you can get totally free by just messaging me training hacks.
And next up, you need to listen to this one. It is super important. You have to train for objective, not for vibes. This is not a fun one to hear, but honestly, if I were training for vibes, I would wear a tank top in the gym every day. I would pump up my arms. I love training triceps. I would just hit tricep extensions overhead. I would do the kickbacks. I would do all that stuff every single day. But the reality is that's not going to be great for me. And if I did that, it wouldn't be working. So there's a lot of the stuff in my program, aka Bulgarian split squats. Even after this today, we're going to destroy legs. And honestly, I just show up no matter what. I follow the program. I'm not going for vibes. I'm just going to become the best version, to stick to my routine that Josh put together, to stay consistent, to improve every single area so I'm symmetrical, and just not really question like how I'm feeling on a specific day. Like whether I get in a little bit later, like today will be, I'm still gonna do it, right? On a day like today, honestly, I probably would just go in and do some biceps and maybe pump it up a bit, but I've got my program and I'm gonna stick to it. And this is a mistake I've made in the past. Like I remember when I was more of a beginner, I would just kind of show up to just like pump up. I would do whatever machine is available. I would always be on the preacher curl machine, which I absolutely loved. And I just see a lot of people making this mistake. So really do encourage you to have a proper routine, have an expert do it where you don't question what you're doing. And I've even been having conversations with people a lot recently. And I'd say most people who aren't following a routine, they just end up picking random stuff. And it also ends up being so much easier to skip when you don't have a customized routine for you. So this alone is a big mistake. And I see so many people still doing it to this day.
Yeah, a great routine should not care about your feelings. It's about getting in there. You don't want to only lift hard or train hard when you're motivated. That's not realistic. Training regimen should have a plan for you, right? Instead of you mindlessly picking machines, there should be a plan, a purpose. There should be progression, periodization. All these things need to be encompassed in a great routine. If you don't have that, you're shooting yourself in the foot. and you're leaving so many gains on the table. My next tip is that training sore is okay. I know a lot of people are hesitant to train when they're sore, especially if they're on a new routine or they're on more volume, and it can be really scary. You're like, oh, my leg's still a little sore. I don't know if I should be squatting. What's amazing about muscles is once they get blood flow, they actually start to feel a lot better. So a great thing I like to do when I'm sore is go on a little walk first, and you'll actually feel 100 times better, and it makes it a lot easier to get in the gym no matter what you're doing. Because when you're walking, you're moving your back, you're moving your hips, you're moving your legs, you're moving your arms. It's a really great way to get a little blood flow going. And you'll find, like most things, especially when you're in a new training regimen or when you're really beat up. And I really learned this from powerlifting because I would just feel destroyed, but you need to get in there and do your reps so you can actually stay on track to actually hit some crazy lifts. Is like your body will adapt. Sometimes you just got to bite down and go through it. Unless you're like actually injured or excessively sore. Like if you're so sore it hurts, like take a single step, like excessively, maybe you can avoid it. But I think there's a lot of hesitancy to actually train when you're sore. It's actually less of a deal than you think it is. It's not a big deal. You can get back in there. And what's awesome is your body is so phenomenal at adapting. When you start to challenge it and give it more load, it will adapt. It'll adapt upwards and it will help you elevate to more of that elite level, especially if you're like in a new routine that does push you. Give that to like 14 to 21 days and you'll find you'll adapt into it. You won't get that sore. And I think people will fight soreness so much when they start that they'll take a million rest days after they're sore one day. They'll go in, they'll get really sore again. And it becomes this fear. I'm rarely, if ever, that sore. And I train really hard consistently 5 days a week, but it's because I do it so consistently and I've let myself adapt upwards to that.
And that's where it pairs nicely with the previous tip. Just having that objective, it makes such a big difference instead of just going off of vibes and feelings. But next up, you have to slow down the eccentric. Now, what I mean by this is if you're doing a tricep push down, if you're watching on the screen, you push down and then on the way up as you're controlling it, 3, 2, 1, that's going to be called the negative, right? If you're doing a bicep curl, basically you pull all the way up to your chest, you control all the way down, 3, 2, 1 until you fully straighten your arms. And honestly, we have done so many form videos, and I find that every single time I go to create a form video, whatever the exercise is, one of my biggest tips is just stop rushing through the movement. I find a lot of people end up getting uncomfortable in that eccentric phase, which is kind of where your muscles grow. It's where you tear muscle fibers, and it's actually so good for you just to control it, just to go slower and just not try to just get the movement done quickly. And it's the part where like on an example of triceps, since I'm talking about it today, you start to feel like it's just like your triceps are just like burning. Like it's a really good feeling. If you're doing a hanging leg raise, you just control on the way down, you start to feel your abs just starting to rip in a really good way, of course. But I just find a lot of people are afraid of discomfort and they're just like, simply put, you say, okay, go do 8 to 12 reps. And it's just so quickly, you're just rushing through it. You hate the pain. You're distracted as well. That's another thing is I find that my eccentrics are just really horrible when I'm just like really focused on the next thing I'm doing or something like that, or a future thing I have to do. So slow it down, allow yourself to control your mind to the muscle. And honestly, this is one of the greatest tips you can implement instead of just rushing through the movement.
Yeah, don't overlook that negative. And I think there's nothing wrong with optimizing your form, maximizing it, taking a step back, maybe doing a little less weight, focusing on mind muscle connection. And what's nice is once you get that down, start challenging yourself again. Start trying to do that by adding more weight. And eventually you'll add enough weight that there'll be a little bit of a form breakdown and it'll kind of reset that pendulum. But what's so nice is you can just reset and bounce back at a higher high because maybe you go back to correcting that form, slowing down, doing some additional counting. And these can be periods of your life, right? You want to utilize both. There's something to be said about the benefit of hoorah, heavy, lift that weight kind of training. But also, there's a lot of benefit to actually making sure you have that control in the negative. Like even a bicep curl, if I just let gravity do its thing and snap down, not only is it more dangerous, I'm not getting that benefit of that negative, like Kyle said. So it's really important you maximize the form, then you challenge the weight. And if you already have the training hacks, but you want our form guide, we have almost 100 exercises there. We will update it. So if you get this one, we'll make sure to get you the new one. You can see all of our form guides, like having a personal trainer in your pocket, the before, the after, as well as the common mistakes. I highly recommend you do this because once you actually know what you may be doing wrong, you can fix it. And it's amazing what a small cue change will fix. One of my clients sent me a form video for his Romanian deadlift, and I just gave him a small form change, like one tip. With our coaching, we allow unlimited form checks, so they'll send us form checks. One tip, and it fixed the whole thing. I was crazy. Like before, there were so many things. I had one tip to kind of correct it. There was a lot I wanted to work on, but it was amazing how that one tip just like fixed 10 things, and he's going to get way more benefit from that movement, which is absolutely fantastic. But I want to end this episode with something I truly believe, and that is walking is a superpower. I think there's too much of an obsession with doing gym-based cardio, stairmasters, treadmill, and they're totally fine. If you need to get it in and get it done, that's totally okay. But like I said, I want to minimize friction in the gym. So if I'm already training hard, I train hard about 75 minutes. For me, if I mix in 30 minutes of mobility after 30 minutes of cardio, I can't be in the gym that long. It's just not realistic for me. So instead, I like to go on walks. And what's nice too, even as my son is almost 4, usually I'll bring him, I'll get him out on a walk. He likes it. He'll point out things. It's time for me to be together with him. I take my dog. Like just getting out on more frequent walks, parking further away, doing these small things. I want to walk with friends, taking 10 minutes to reset and be outside. Like you can mix in so much general cardio, and even just getting towards like 8 steps a day is such a great baseline of activity that you can actually kind of get away from doing these excessive, boring cardios in the gym. So I highly recommend you walk more. It's great for recovery. It's energy neutral. So even though you're burning energy, it's actually refreshing and regenerative, which is absolutely fantastic. So don't overlook walking. It's immensely powerful, but those are 9 high level tips, things I wish I knew before I started lifting. Want to provide some more clarity, challenge yourself. 2 free gifts available for you. You can see in the show notes. First is that training hack sheet with 7 high level training hacks. I also go into more detail about the deload weeks. And you can grab our form guide as well. Just message me on Instagram with either of those keywords to my Instagram at Colossus Fit, COLOSSUSFIT, and I'll be sure to send those over. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a fantastic day. Peace.